stuff also too.
Hey Greg, how you doing?
Good.
I always use, or I have been using a Honda. Is there any big differences between the skis that you guys are using now from like any big changes, or are they all pretty much linear on the left, throttle on the right?
So there are a few things with the Honda. If you let it sit off for, so we'll kind of talk about that. Well, I guess we'll just get into it right now. One of the most important things, as you're surfing with your sort of team, is knowing everybody's equipment. Perfect example, I let a friend who's only been driving Yamahas jump on my Honda once, and he didn't know. I just assumed that he'd been on skis his whole life. But if you let it sit off for longer than, I think it's 5 minutes, you have to push a secondary button before you can hit it. You have to push the red button, which basically starts at the electrical system, and then you hit the green button. So as he had kind of drifted into the lineup and was trying to hit the start button, it wouldn't start because he didn't know you had to hit the red button first. So, I mean, that's the biggest difference. But I know you can do that as well, yeah. So, the importance of knowing, everybody, essentially everybody in the lineups, equipment to some extent, or having a standardized, thing. So, if I were to jump on Frank's ski, I know that he's going to have his spare lanyard right there, on that side. Yeah. So that's kind of a bigger part of, these communications and getting everybody on the same page, so they can all be sort of synchronized in our understanding of what's going on out there. And I know Sea-Doos, I don't see many of those out there anymore. But Yamahas, I think, are the preferred one. Especially as long as discontinued skis entirely, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one with there's a reverse throttle on the right hand?
So those are the newer Yamahas. So rather than having like a reverse gate, there's actually an electronic lever.
I have had some experience on those where you kind of like use that to kick the sled out at your partner, whoever you're picking up. But at sometimes when they start cavitating in waves, it's like a little tricky where you're like coming head on almost with the guy.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you don't ever want to be putting your ski in reverse in the impact zone, especially if you've got one of like the gate pull things. People will do that where they kind of miss them and then throw it into reverse, back up real quick, and they got it. You're just opening up the margin for error. That sometimes those things stick a little bit and they don't go all the way back in and engage and drive. So trying to avoid that as much as you can with the electronic, which is a lot easier. But
It's just so convenient.
I still don't. I still don't trust them.
Yeah,
Fully.
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can trust that.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it. It's an art, ever evolving. No matter where you go, there's going to be somebody with a different idea or technique that they think is relevant to their break, which might not be at another one. Some breaks right after the first wave, the amount of kind of turbulence in the whitewater isn't so substantial that you can't go in there and pick up the guy straight away. Where I think Frank or anybody can attest, if you try going in immediately after a giant wave at Mavericks, you're going to probably sink into a cauldron of water and bury your ski and end up a hazard by yourself.
Knowing the equipment and the equipment that people that you borrow is really important. Danilo came in and got me on a really, really big day, and came in. I was down for a long time. Hey, I came out of the fog, got the handle, got his arm, pulled me back onto the sled. I let go as I started to hit the sled. All the loops in the sled had been pulled flat. There was nothing to hang on to. And I go sliding off the sled, and I grab the tow rope, and I grab it for just a second, and it was too late. I let go, realizing that there's another 60-footer, 50-footer, and Danilo's. Yeah, go ahead. He watched.
Well, this whole scenario really has a bunch of, I'm going to try and make it short, but it was a lot of lessons of that day. It was the foggy, humongous day. The direction wasn't northwest or west, it was a west-southwest, which is very rare. really dangerous. Tow session is happening. Jeff shows up with his son in his ski, and I am with my partner Rodrigo. And Jeff, when I go surf, he's like, sure. My feeling right away was that I wanted to drive Jeff for some reason, but I really trust my partner. And I said, Rodrigo, he was on the ski, just watch out for those west closeouts. Big set comes in, Rodrigo pulls Jeff deep, Jeff kicks out, probably a 5 or 6 wave, 35, 40 foot Hawaiian, whole day. And Jeff kicks out and Rodrigo goes to pick Jeff up. And the whole thing happened with sled, flat, rope, and then the wave gets Jeff and Rodrigo. On the Honda? Yeah, on the Honda. And they got really destroyed, and I know it was bad. That's when I was in the channel with his ski, his son, a bunch of boards, Hank photo, 20 boards, and I just pushed everybody, and I went to go get Jeff.
My son said, Danilo says to Kevin, I gotta go. And stiff arms him off into the water.
And Hank has like 10 photos, 10 boards on his camera. So I just go straight to Jeff. And as I'm coming to him, he was really he was already fading. His colors were already different. And he could barely see me. So I just had to really yell. So that's maybe the biggest lesson I like to share is the verbal communication. I had to yell out of my, really hard. So Jeff, at that moment, his eyes really opened and he saw me. And that was the only time we had it to put him on the slab, and we made it. But I think you did got hurt on that whole situation. Your hip was there, or?
Just my feelings.
Yeah. And we made it, and then the Honda ski, kind of like that one. Yeah.
And then we got to Rodrigo, and he literally he got his hand on the sled, but he couldn't get on the sled, and had to pull him out of the water.
After we went to pick him up, yeah.
Let's bring us back to the sending stuff too. So you guys, we can get into the whole process, right? And the 5-step process, what Greg can teach you guys. Because what I like you guys to take away is, if I hold up my 5 fingers at the end of the day, you're gonna know what that represents. And this is what we're gonna start getting into the meat of this also too. Yeah. So what this is, again, is whole thing what you're gonna see in this classroom is not a one-time thing. It's an art form. It's like martial arts of the ocean. You're only as good as you practice this and as you preach this and stuff too. So go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so it's, again, repetition, kind of everything that we're going to go through, practicing with each other regularly. And so identifying kind of the 2 archetypes of people who are usually out there. You've got the risk taker versus the risk technician. Oftentimes, the risk taker can be misinterpreted as if they know what they're doing, but they're out there kind of making uncalculated movements, aren't really aware of their surroundings. Eventually, it's all going to catch up with them. And what we're trying to strive for is all be risk technicians, which is very thoughtful in our approach. Prior to ever entering the water in a lineup, knowing what the hazards are, having good contact with medical facilities, technicians in the area, with the surfers, so to minimize the risks. Next slide. So, yeah. The risk technician, they can reasonably predict the outcome, mitigate the risks prior to going into the situation. With a risk taker, they're gambling. This is Cole Christensen's actually very creative PowerPoint here. Go ahead. Risk takers are only guessing what's going to happen. But getting into the 5-step process, which is the nuts and bolts, as Brian said, what we really want to hone in on and take away. At this point, I think everybody can understand, there's severe consequences, hazards. It's about managing those. So the process to doing so, first identifying what those may be, and they can take on any shape and form. We'll kind of walk through a series of them in a moment. We're just going to go through the process here. Assessing those hazards into risk. What is the likelihood that they may occur, and what are the consequences should this actually come into play? the rocks at Mavericks, I would say, are probably one of the greatest hazards out there. What's the likelihood if I fall that I'm going to get washed into them on the west swell? Probably significant. So kind of taking all that into account, and then controlling the risk. What can I do to avoid this situation, or implement in the water that may minimize it? So if we go back and use that foggy west-southwest day, if you fall out there on a swell direction like that, it's not if you're going to go into the rocks, it's just a matter of how quickly you're going to. So controls, and then implementing the controls, what would the example of that be? You're going to have your safety ski right there to pick you up. Or potentially decide not even to surf that thing. That would be the greatest risk control that you could implement. And then supervise and evaluate those at the end of the day, and go back, what actually worked, what didn't, restructure whatever protocols that you had established for that day that maybe had some holes in them that you realized later on. And also ensure that everybody else that's going out there, Jeff, I don't know, you're stewards of the Mavericks surf break, so standing up and being a voice for newcomers, who are kind of flying by the seat of their pants, don't know what they're doing, to really supervise the situation, say, hey, this is sort of how we do it here. We're welcome to share with you our knowledge, because in the end, somebody who comes out there, they're the weakest link in the group, and that you're going to go in there after them and try and help them should something go wrong. So essentially, even though they're a hazard to themselves, they become a hazard to yourself and everybody else as well. So really supervising the overall situation. So those are the 5 main points, getting into the process of it. So looking back at the risks and hazards, questions you might want to ask yourself: who's in the water? The greatest hazards, other than the rocks at Mavericks, I would say, is the crowd. And you get a lot of newcomers out there who don't really know the etiquette where they're sitting, and they become liabilities for themselves and essentially the other surfers in the water. So boats in the channel who may not be aware of the break and a swell direction, what a wide swing set's going to do. Where is it dangerous? Where can you actually go and surf? Sitting on the left or the right. And then, again, back to thinking about it before. These are the questions that you're going to ask before going out there. And then what can you do to reduce all of these risks that are going to come with these potential situations?
Just a quick, putting that in practice, a lot of times, I'm not shy to come say hi to a local or somebody that I don't know, but I know a lot of people who are. Just remember that when you get down to create a process, the communication is always going to be number one. And come over and say hi, and ask questions, introduce yourself. It's the first step. You can't do anything on your own, isolated, and just a reminder, because those questions are going to really help put the process in place from beginning to end. Those are like standard things that, I'm just always looking at Luca here. It's a new generation who's going to go to the world eventually. And those are kind of like the questions you want to come ready before you even think about surfing, touch base with the crew. So communication, break the ego, don't be shy, ask questions and go from there.
For example, my very first time ever coming up here, I was invited by Grant Washburn, who's, everybody knows Grant's put in second to probably Jeff more hours than anybody out there, and just asked him, can you show me around? And then was introduced to Jeff, and the two of them literally walked me out there, told me all about the rocks and which swell directions the water's going to be moving, where your safe points, where your lineups are out there. And so for my first session out there, I had a good spatial awareness of what was happening, gave me a comfort level to be able to perform. And then also, if shit ever did go wrong, could handle it and mitigate the situation myself. And that was just by asking. So it's one big wave surfing family. I don't think that there's a big wave lineup or location in the world where if you reached out to the one local and asked for advice just to understand, you know, what their whole program is there, that they would tell you no to get lost, and you're welcome with open arms. So, next slide, please.